In 1970, the business of baseball was coming apart at the seams. A team went bankrupt, a player refused to play, ballparks that stood for 60 years closed their doors, and Topps printed it all in gray. Card number 1 is the 1969 New York Mets World Champions in a team photograph arranged in rows on the field. A few hundred cards later, there is a subset that had never existed before. Playoff highlights numbers 195 through 202, 8 cards covering the first National League Championship Series and the first American League Championship Series ever played. Baseball had split into divisions in 1969. That created a round of games between the end of the season and the World Series, and Topps had to build a place for it in their set. Mets and Braves, Orioles and Twins. The World Series cards follow at 305, 6 of them, the Mets over Baltimore. The set spends its opening third looking at the season that was already over. Meanwhile, the 1970 season was starting. On April 22nd, Tom Seaver struck out 19 Padres at Shea Stadium, the last 10 of them in a row. No pitcher has done that in a single game since. Ernie Banks hit his 500th home run in May. 5 days later, Hank Aaron collected his 3,000th hit. Willie Mays reached his 3,000th in July. Somewhere in every set, going back further than most kids in the 70s would remember, there had always been a Mickey Mantle card. He retired in the spring of '69, and Topps printed 1970 without him. It was the first time since the 50s that a Topps set didn't have Old Mick in it. The photo in the card sits inside a thin white frame. Around the frame, a gray border. Team name in the upper corner. Player's name along the bottom in script, his position behind it. That is the entire front of the card. The back is a different thing altogether. Blue across the top for the biography, yellow below for its statistics, a small cartoon worked into the corner. The sets on either side made it look easy. 1969 had white borders. 1971 had black ones. And collectors still talk about them. However, 1970 kind of sat in between. A pack cost a dime, 10 cards, a stick of gum, and an insert. The wrapper said so in capital letters, extra, insert in each pack. The Seattle Pilots played one season, 1969. They finished last in their division and lost 98 games, playing at Six Stadium, a minor league ballpark with plumbing that didn't work and seats with no cover. By the following spring, the money was gone. On April 1st, 1970, a federal court declared the franchise bankrupt. 6 days later, the season opened, and the team took the field in Milwaukee as the Brewers. There had been no time to make uniforms. They wore the Pilots uniforms with Brewers stitched across the front in block letters. Topps had spent the previous year photographing that team. The 1970 set was released the way Topps released everything then, in waves, over the course of the season. The last cards reaching stores in late summer. Kids bought the early cards in April and the late ones in August. And the Pilot cards kept coming the entire time. Not just the early series, printed before the move, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th. Cards assembled and shipped months after the franchise had ceased to exist, all of them saying Seattle. The team card is number 713. It's a photograph taken at Six Stadium, the whole club sitting and standing in rows, squinting. On the back, the franchise's complete statistical record, one season, the team card of a team with nothing left to add to it. However, there was one person who spent 1969 writing that team down. Jim Bouting pitched for the Pilots that season, throwing a knuckleball and trying to stay in the league. And he kept a diary the whole way through. What players said in the clubhouse, what they drank, what they took to get through the games, what they earned, and what happened when they asked for more. Ball 4 came out in June of 1970. Baseball's response was immediate. Sports writers called Bouting a traitor. Players burned a copy in the clubhouse and left it for him to find. The commissioner, Bowie Kuhn, called him into a meeting and pressed him to sign a statement saying the book wasn't true. Bouting wouldn't. Kuhn issued a statement expressing his displeasure and then let it go. The book sold millions of copies. So through that summer of 1970, there were 2 records of the Seattle Pilots in circulation. A book the commissioner of baseball wanted withdrawn, and packs of cards for a team that no longer existed. 1970 Topps includes a card of a man who refused to play baseball, and for a good reason. Card number 360, Curt Flood. The card says Phillies across the top in yellow letters. The word is the only thing on the card that says he is a Philly. The cap had been painted, green crown, red brim, no logo, a combination no team in baseball wore. The photograph is taken from below. At that angle, you can barely see the top of the cap at all. Topps painted it anyway. Below the cap, there is a plain white undershirt cropped at the collar, no jersey, no piping, no letters. Behind him, a blurred grandstand that could be anywhere. He is smiling in the photograph. Flood had spent 12 seasons in St. Louis. In the fall of '69, the Cardinals traded him to Philadelphia, and he found out over the phone. He didn't go. On Christmas Eve, he wrote to the Commissioner of Baseball. "I do not feel that I am a piece of property," he wrote, and asked to be made a free agent so he could hear offers from other clubs. Bowie Kuhn said no. In January, Flood sued baseball. He sat out the entire 1970 season while the case moved through the courts. By the time the kids pulled the card out of packs, he had already written the letter, he had already filed the suit, and was not playing baseball that year. The inserts in the packs changed depending on when you bought. Early in the year, it was a scratch-off, a folded card with a player on the front. Topps called him the team captain. And panels inside covered in black ink. You scratched them off with the edge of a coin. And a baseball game played out underneath. Hits, outs, runs. You kept score on the back cover. Later came the booklets, 24 of them, 8 pages each, small enough to fit in the same space as a baseball card. Inside were cartoon panels, how the players got to the majors, what he'd done since, what he'd done in the winter when he wasn't playing. Topps drew 287 of those panels for a giveaway. Then there were the posters, 24 of them, folded up, printed on paper thin enough to tear. Unfold one, and you had a color headshot of a baseball player on your wall. And that year, Topps sold something else in its own wrapper, the Supers. The Supers were 3 inches by 5, printed on cardboard 6 times thicker than a regular card. Rounded corners. The photograph ran to the very edge. No frame, no border, nothing at all. 3 of them in a pack for a dime. Flip one over and it's the same back as the base card. Same blue, same yellow, same statistics, same cartoon. Team cards came back in 1970. One for every club. The first time since 1967. And the photographs were new. Topps sent people out and shot all of them. 3 of those teams were about to move. The Reds had been at Crosley Field since 1912. Crosley had a terrace in left, the ground sloped upward towards the wall, and outfielders ran up to make the catch. They played their last game there in June. The Pirates left Forbes Field the same month. Forbes had been open since 1909. Nobody ever threw a no-hitter at Forbes Field. The Phillies finished the season at Connie Mack Stadium and closed it. Fans took pieces home that night. Seats, railings, whatever came loose. Riverfront in Cincinnati opened at the end of June. Three Rivers opened 2 weeks later. Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia opened the following spring. Round, poured concrete, artificial turf, symmetrical outfields. From the upper deck, they all looked alike. Card 189 is Yankees rookie card. 2 players share it. Thurman Munson on one side, and a first baseman named Dave McDonald on the other. Munson was a catcher out of Ohio, and he had played 26 games in the majors when that photograph was taken. He spent the summer of 1970 hitting .302. In the fall, he was named American League Rookie of the Year. Card 21 is another shared rookie card, 2 Oakland players on it, Vida Blue and Gene Tennis. On September 21st of that year, Blue threw a no-hitter against Minnesota. Tennis caught it. The 2 of them were on the same piece of cardboard months before either had done anything worth remembering. Blue won the Cy Young Award and the Most Valuable Player Award the following season. Tennis was the World Series MVP 2 years after that. Bill Buckner's first card is number 286. He would collect more than 2,700 hits and win a batting title. Larry Bowa is here, and he would star in 5 All-Star games in his career. Darrell Evans would hit more than 400 home runs in his career. Hal McRae would hit 306 times for the Royals. And Bill Russell, well, he would play shortstop in the same Dodgers infield for 8.5 years. All of them sitting in gray borders on a drugstore rack. The set ends at card 720. Rick Reichart, gray border, same as all the others.